Hi YouTube, I'm Caleb. I use he, they pronouns, and today I wanted to have a conversation about living with a mental health issue, specifically living with bipolar disorder, um, especially as a black trans queer person. I just thought it would be helpful for me to voice my thoughts and give you all some ways that I manage and just sort of tell my story. With my initial diagnoses, I was initially diagnosed while I was being hospitalized. I will add some trigger warnings to the video here and in the description below. But I was being hospitalized after a suicide attempt, and during that hospitalization, they diagnosed me with bipolar disorder and started giving me medicine. They essentially forced you to take medicine. I know it's not forced, but it's highly, highly recommended. And if you don't take it, then you end up being hospitalized for longer. I have some thoughts about that, but anyways, the ways that bipolar disorder manifests in my life today is just varying moods, right? So the general definition of bipolar disorder is whenever you experience periods of extreme highs and periods of extreme lows. So the extreme highs are called mania, and for me, it just feels like my mind is constantly running, and I usually can function off of little to no sleep. I am very goal oriented and goal achieving, and it sounds like a great thing, but it's also very exhausting for both your mind and body. So it's not so great. And then the extreme lows basically just feels like depression. It feels um, not ever being happy, even with things that usually make you happy, not being interested in those things. For me, I especially never want to get out of bed. I don't want to feed myself, and I enjoy eating food. And so whenever I notice myself not really having an appetite for things, I know that oh, this is some sort of mood issue that's happening. So yeah, that's the way that it sort of manifests in my life. Some strategies that I take to manage my mental health and manage my bipolar disorder specifically. Quick side note though, I actually don't like the label or the diagnoses of bipolar disorder. Initially I wasn't comfortable with having that because I felt ashamed or felt like it was just somehow adding a target on my back in some sort of way. I don't really know how to describe it that well, but I have mixed feelings about having this diagnosis. Despite having those mixed feelings, I still need to manage my mental health, right? I feel like everyone needs to manage their mental health to where they can live their best versions of themselves and yada yada yada. And the ways in which I manage my mental health do include taking medication. Initially, I was very skeptical of the medication. I thought it was just I thought medication worked based off of a placebo effect, which is true to an extent, but also medication works simply by taking it consistently at the same time every day. And I posted on Instagram recently how one good thing that came out of quarantine was the fact that I am taking my medication at the same time every day, and it has been really helpful. And just this concept of having a schedule is so nice, and really effective in boosting my mood and improving my mental health. What a concept. So strategies, right? Keeping up with my medication, taking it regularly, maintaining my schedule. And by the way, there were things that were outside of my control that made maintaining my schedule or made accessing medication very hard for me, such as homelessness and other economic barriers that I was facing. So I do have a lot of grace and forgiveness for myself during that time. But within the past 3-4 months, I've been really trying to take my medicine consistently, and from doing that, I've definitely noticed my mood not elevate, but it definitely hasn't decreased. It's just sort of maintained, which is what is the happy norm for people with bipolar disorder. Not to make a generalized assumption, but like for me, being in this happy medium is like better than being at this like mania or in a depressive episode. Um, I feel like my thoughts were kind of scattered there. Other ways that I like better my mental health is by keeping a journal and journaling daily. I don't typically journal just my thoughts. If I am journaling my thoughts, it's because like I have a lot of racing thoughts. I typically will do a weekly like goals list, and then of those weekly goals is to write down my manifestations, to write down my affirmations, to write down my gratitude notes, because I don't actually have like a gratitude journal. I just write down like things that I'm grateful for. I also write down acts of love. So I write literally like ways in which I loved myself today are, and then for example, I'll say like I took a bath instead of showering, and I feel like that's an act of love because taking a bath usually takes more time. It's like more effort, but I know my body is much more relaxed after bathing versus after showering. So yeah, I feel like journaling has been super helpful. And medication has too, but journaling has definitely been that like, wow, this is, because it's just nice to look back in your journals and see like, okay, this is something that I manifested, and like this is it actually like coming to fruition. Or early on, whenever I was like writing acts of self-love, it was like difficult for me to come up with like any sort of way that I showed myself love. But now it's just like, okay, yeah, I showed myself love by baking these cookies. I showed myself love by forgiving myself for forgetting to do this thing, and things like that. So yeah, I think that's about it. But I was inspired by Marcus Gray, I think is his last name, to make this video. If you want to check out his video, the link to it will be in the description below. Please comment below ways in which you like manage your mental health, and yeah, share to the community if you would like. You're also more than welcome to comment just your thoughts on what I've said. So yeah, and I'm thinking about different video topics for the month of May, because May is Mental Health Awareness Month. So if you have any video ideas, feel free to like comment those below as well. And I hope you have a great week. All right, bye.